Hello, history lovers. Welcome to Knowing People. Get ready to plunge into history's wildest and most unexpected demises. From powerful kings and cunning emperors to brilliant philosophers and fierce warriors, these jaw-dropping tales of peculiar deaths will leave you astounded and entertained. Stick around, because each story gets crazier than the last. Let's dive in. Titus Tatius, 8th century BC. Titus Tatius was a co-ruler of Rome in its early days. His end came when an angry mob, armed with table knives and chair legs, attacked him during a sacrifice. Clearly, ancient Rome had a knack for impromptu weaponry. Menes, 3200 BC. Menes was an Egyptian pharaoh who united Upper and Lower Egypt, creating the first dynasty. Despite his impressive achievements, his end was anything but royal. Menes was reportedly carried off and killed by a hippopotamus, proving that even great leaders can fall prey to unexpected hazards. Pythagoras, 495 BC. The famous Greek mathematician and philosopher Pythagoras met his end at the hands of an angry mob. Legend has it he refused to escape through a bean field, believing beans held the souls of the dead, and was caught and killed as a result. It seems his peculiar beliefs got the best of him. Draco of Athens, 620 BC. Draco was a celebrated Athenian lawmaker whose strict laws were termed draconian. Ironically, he met his end in a very non-draconian manner. He was smothered to death by a shower of cloaks and hats from appreciative citizens in a theatre. Talk about being loved to death. Charondas, 612 BC. Charondas was a Greek lawgiver known for his strict laws. He issued a law that anyone bringing weapons into the assembly must be put to death. He accidentally brought a knife himself and, to uphold his own law, committed suicide, demonstrating an extreme dedication to justice. Cleomenes I of Sparta, 490 BC. Cleomenes I was a Spartan king whose end was both tragic and bizarre. Driven mad, possibly by intoxication or poisoning, he hacked himself to pieces with a knife. It was a grim end for a Spartan warrior. Aricion of Phigalia, 564 BC. Aricion was a famous Greek pancratiast who died in the Olympic finals. In a stranglehold, he broke his own neck trying to free himself. His opponent conceded defeat, making Aricion the first and probably the only posthumous Olympic victor. Duke Jing of Jin, 581 BC. Duke Jing of Jin was warned by a shaman that he wouldn't live to see the new wheat harvest. After dismissing the shaman and having him killed, Duke Jing sat down to enjoy the new wheat. Alas, he fell through a bathroom hole and drowned, proving that karma really does come back around. Hippasus, 5th century BC. Hippasus was a Pythagorean philosopher who discovered the existence of irrational numbers. This discovery didn't sit well with his fellow Pythagoreans, who, according to legend, threw him overboard to drown. Clearly, math can be deadly. Zeuxis, 5th century BC. Zeuxis was a Greek painter known for his realistic artwork. One day he laughed so hard at his own painting of an elderly woman that he died. Talk about dying for your art. Milo of Croton, 6th century BC. Milo was an Olympic champion wrestler with incredible strength. One day, he tried to split a tree apart with his hands, but got stuck. He ended up being devoured by wolves, showing that even the strongest can have a bad day in the woods. Sogdianus of Persia, 423 BC. Sogdianus was a ruler of the Achaemenid Empire who met a rather grim fate. His half-brother Ocus, vying for the throne, suffocated him in a chamber filled with ash. Sogdianus spent several agonizing hours breathing in ash before meeting his end. Talk about sibling rivalry. King Anaxarchus, 320 BC. Anaxarchus was a Greek philosopher and advisor to Alexander the Great. After being captured by a rival king, he met a grisly end when he was pounded to death with a large pestle. Talk about being crushed by your enemies. King Wu of Qin, 310 BC. King Wu of Qin was a ruler known for his strength and competitive spirit. During a weightlifting competition, he tried to lift a massive bronze cauldron. His leg buckled, causing a severe injury, and he eventually died from his wounds, bleeding from his eyes. A tragic end for a strong man. Fabius Maximus, 203 BC. Fabius Maximus was a Roman statesman who reportedly died of grief and stress. The false news of his son's death in battle proved too much for him. The power of misinformation, even in ancient times, was truly devastating. Agathocles, 289 BC. Agathocles, the tyrant of Syracuse, met his end through a cunning family plot. His own grandson poisoned him with a toothpick, seeking to take power. Talk about keeping it in the family. Emperor Qin Shi Huang, 210 BC. China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, was obsessed with immortality. He ingested mercury pills, believing they would make him live forever. Instead, they poisoned him, proving that the quest for eternal life can be deadly. Eleazar Maccabeus, 163 BC. Eleazar Maccabeus was a Jewish warrior during the Maccabean revolt. In a heroic yet bizarre move, he stabbed an elephant he believed was carrying a Seleucid king. The elephant fell on him, crushing him to death, a valiant but squashed end. Susima of India, 3rd century BC. Susima, an ancient Indian prince, was lured into a fiery pit by his brother Ashoka, who sought to eliminate him as a rival for the throne. Susima fell into the pit and was burned to death. It's a fiery reminder of how ruthless sibling rivalries can be. Crown Prince Philip of France, 13th October 1131. Crown Prince Philip was the heir to the French throne. While riding through Paris, his horse tripped over a black pig running out of a dung heap. The fall resulted in his untimely death, proving that even royals aren't safe from freak accidents. Simon the Magician, 64 AD. Simon was a magician who tried to prove his powers by flying. In front of Emperor Nero, he fell to his death.
Oh no!
Showing that even magic has its limits. It turns out gravity always wins. Emperor Caracalla, 217 AD. The Roman Emperor Caracalla was assassinated while urinating on the side of the road by one of his soldiers who held a personal grudge against him. Not the most dignified end for an emperor, but certainly a memorable one. Valerian, 260 AD. Valerian was a Roman emperor captured by the Persian king Shapur I. According to legend, Valerian was humiliated and used as a human footstool by Shapur before dying in captivity, after which his body was allegedly stuffed and displayed. Talk about adding insult to injury. Attila the Hun, 453 AD. Attila the Hun, the infamous warrior, died from a nosebleed on his wedding night. After consuming a large amount of alcohol, he choked on his own blood. Even the fiercest of warriors can be felled by the simplest of things. Euthymius the Younger, 9th century AD. Euthymius was a Byzantine saint and hermit who met an unusual end. According to legend, he accidentally set himself on fire while trying to cook porridge. Even saints have their off days in the kitchen. That wraps it up for today. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below and let me know which death you found the most bizarre.